Making a very special choux dish known as croquembouche, and we are going to fill it with a grenadella cream. So step one is to make the choux paste. So I'm going to need some water and butter, some flour and egg. I'm going to need a spatula, a wooden spoon and mixing bowl. I've got my tray here and I've got 1.5 centimeter dots printed to use as a template, and I'm going to need a piping bag, scissors and a toothpick. So let's begin. Step one is to melt the butter in the water. We're not going to let the water boil for very long. It's only going to boil for a few seconds. If it boils too long, too much steam is going to evaporate, and then the choux puffs will be too small because our water is our raising agent. As you can see, the butter is melted and my water is starting to boil. Now I immediately take it off the heat and I throw all my flour in. And I'm going to stir it until I have a nice ball forming. Okay, so as you can see, it's a nice ball. Now I'm just going to put it on the heat for about 30 seconds until there is a film at the bottom of my pot, because I need to cook my choux paste a little bit before it can go into the oven. Now you can see that there's a layer here at the bottom of the pot. You see when I scrape it, there's a difference. So now my choux paste can be transferred to my bowl to cool slightly before I add my egg. So spread out the choux paste because we want to speed up this cooling process nicely. The choux paste is cool enough now, so now I'm going to first add a little bit of my beaten egg. And it's going to be difficult to mix it in the beginning. It looks like it doesn't want to come together, but it will. Now I'm going to add some more of my egg. So I'm going to try and put it in about 3 parts. And by the looks of this choux paste, I'm probably going to need my whole egg. So the last of it goes in. So my choux paste is nice and smooth, nice and glossy, and it has a drop consistency, and it makes a nice V as it drops. It keeps its shape. So this is going to pipe very nicely. Now I'm just going to transfer this to my piping bag. So my choux paste is now in my piping bag, and I need to cut a very small tip here because I'm piping very small little balls. So I'm just going to cut off a tiny end here. Now I can squeeze out the air and get it closer to the bottom. Remember to twist tight, and we're going to push with these fingers over here. And remember to hold your piping bag perfectly upright when you pipe. So we are going to, in the middle of the dot, press, 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 press. Nice little high dot. Stop, go down, come up. Press, 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 press. They all need to be the same size. High dot, go down, come up. We're done piping all of our dots. We're going to need about 20 choux puffs per croquembouche. But you see they've got little tips. So we need to put our finger in some water and just tap these little tips down. Now, to help with the rising, you just dip your fingers in some water and you're just going to splash, 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 splash. Dip again, splash, 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 splash. And now we're going to put this in the oven at 200 degrees for 10 minutes. Then we're going to turn it down to 180 for another 10 minutes. The choux puffs have come out of the oven and I've already put most of them on the cooling rack. So when you lift it up, take your toothpick and just make a small hole at the bottom so that we can pipe the filling in there and so that the steam can escape and so that our little choux puffs do not get soggy. You could stop. So here I have some whipped cream and now I'm going to add my grenadella syrup to this. Almost like a jam. Got a nice gel texture to it. And I'm just going to whisk it into my cream. So now we just need to make the hole slightly bigger. So I'm going to use my filling nozzle, push in, twist, come out. Alright, so now I've got my grenadella cream in my piping bag and I've got a very special filling nozzle. So I'm going to push the nozzle in this little hole and then I'm just going to squeeze until the little choux feels heavy and full. We don't want it to be too full because we don't want it to pop out. Yeah. In this pot we have sugar, water and cream of tartar. Just make sure that all the sugar is nice and wet with the water and then you stop stirring. You're just going to leave this to melt and then once it's melted we're going to turn up the heat until it gets golden. The cream of tartar is going to help prevent crystal formation, but we're still not going to stir this a lot. I'm just moving the sugar around to help distribute the heat. You can swivel the pan a little bit to help move the sugar along. You can see that the sugar is bubbling nicely, all the sugar is dissolved. Now we're just waiting for it to turn to caramel. You can see that this side is starting to caramel first. So we're going to swivel again to distribute this caramel. Okay, so our caramel is the right color now, so immediately it needs to get out of the pot and into a metal bowl. Alright, so this sugar is 180 degrees Celsius. It is incredibly hot. Do not get your fingers in this. Just pinch the balls at the bottom, dip them in the sugar and put them on the silicone paper. The caramel will not stick to the silicone paper. You have to work very fast because we need to get all of these coated and make the spun sugar before the sugar gets hard. Alright, so now we need to start the assembly process. So I'm going to take it on the side, dip it just a little bit in the sugar and put it down with its little golden side facing forward. So now we need to do our second layer. So now we need to do the top layer quickly. And now the sugar isn't that hot anymore. You can see it starts making all kinds of strands. And then I just need one final one to go on top. Alright, so there is our tower, but now we still need to add some spun sugar around it. So dip your fork in here, and you're just going to let the sugar run, and you're going to have a real big mess to clean up. Dip it again. So now it is done. We're just going to plate it with a little bit of granadella syrup and a bit of green.